Hey, how are you? Welcome to vlog number 4. Well, the title of the vlog explains it, I think, quite clearly. Turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. Very important saying, and I learned this hard way, and we all learn this hard way when we set up our own businesses and we have to think about a lot of things. Inevitably what will happen is you're gonna make mistakes, and you should be making mistakes, because if everything was going really easy and smoothly, you wouldn't learn anything really. So that's the part of it. But let me explain. So I was motivated to record it by actually very recently going through my expenses, and learnings were quite obvious when you actually start to look at them. And they could be, and it was when I started the business, a lot of enthusiasm and happiness, where it should be when you sort of close your first big deals and sort of look at through the year, and there was 500,000-600,000 pounds worth of fine wine sold. Brings a smile on your face, and you should be, and it should, because it gives you energy to keep going and it's very important. But then what you learn very, very quickly is how much actually left, how much actually money stayed after all the expenses, i.e. expense of making that money, and then salaries and so on. That's completely another story. So what I decided to actually do recently, and I share this with you, do 3 things, and you can do them in both, and I think you should do them in both parts. Whether you run your own business or whether not, there will be 2 sort of expenditure. One expenditure is going to be the sort of expenditure of your personal account, and the other expenditure is going to be of your the company. And they shouldn't really overlap. I think when you start with a business, for sure some of it's gonna overlap, but you should keep it as much as possible, those 2 separately. So effectively 2 bank accounts, 2 sorts of expenses and so on, right? So what I did recently, which I think was great exercise, and I recommend this to everyone, going through expenses. So where I would start is very simply look at the phone and look in the apps, because there is a lot of hidden cost in the subscriptions for services and applications that you might not really using, or you're using very little, etc. And there is a twofold really, because it's good to do it on the phone, going physically through your apps and so on, and then do secondary check. And the secondary check would be with the bank statement. Meaning of it is printed off. Probably would be best to print it for a year. And just act accordingly. Just sort of, it will take a bit of time. And when I actually did that, it did 2 things for me. Savings is the obvious one. I managed to save £74 of monthly subscription fees, stuff that I didn't really use. I think there was 1 or 2 applications where you see some adverts, it seems fun, it seems useful, you download it and you're not really using it. So £74 of cancelled subscriptions in value. And there is a second element to it as well. It helps to organize and clear up your sort of apps on your screen, so that declutters it. So sort of, the ones I don't use, I deleted. You can sort it out better, and that sort of, that clears it as well. Now the third element of it, what I would do And you would think, well, 74 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever you're gonna have, because we all different. Because it might be the case where you are organized and you do not have that problem, but highly likely it's good to sort of print it just to check, to make sure, because it's those sort of 30, 40, 50, 70 pounds a month gets charged, that disappears very, very quietly through the subscriptions. You don't even see they're gone. And think about this from the perspective of, the way how I look at it, 74 pounds. I look at it from the perspective of 12 months. Well, that's over 800 pounds. And then when you're actually going to look at it from the perspective of 2, 3, 4 years, that's add up. And what I did do with it, I did something that I always wanted to do, and I think it took me, a year to do that. And finally I did it today. I opened the Vanguard saving account, and I have put that money towards my savings. So that's a quite easy, nice exercise. And the other thing is, with that say, turnover is a vanity, profit is the sanity as well. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money and spend on stupid shit, stuff that they don't really need. And I know on the other end people who maybe don't make as much, but they can organize it better. So does the money give happiness? It helps for sure, but it's not be all and end all. I think if you can manage that right, is valuable. And some people who can organize their life without really a lot of money, just by people they surround themselves with. That's massive value. So that's the sort of personal. It's a good exercise, valuable exercise to do. And and I think one other benefit of it is that once you do it once, I think you're gonna be more aware, you're gonna be more aware what's going on, and you're not gonna be spending money on you're gonna be more conscious when you sort of upload something, etc. So that's one. So that's personal, that's quite easy. And then second one I did as well, which is complicated by its very nature, and that I did it for the business. So for the business could be tricky, but it doesn't have to be. So what I did is I wrote it down, all the expenses that I had, and of course there are some essential and some non-essential. But within those essential ones, for example, two of them I didn't cancel them, I replaced them. So first one I look at was actually my accountant, who helped me set up my company. She was a number of years with me, and it was good, but it could have been much better. And I start to see that she's more involved with some other bigger clients, etc. I was always a small client of her, and this sort of payment of £300 a month was sort of going wasn't worthwhile for her. And of course she's never going to say anything, but I felt the last sort of 12 months the communication was dropping off. So what I did is I shopped for it. I did interview 3 accountants that would fit what I need, etc. And surprise, together with my chairman, we managed to find the accountant that manages the same level of work, and cost us annually £1,050 less. That's a good result. That's a good saving. On top of that as well, what I found is that accounts was always my weak point. And I know that. So I did the effort, actually. And once you once you have someone, my chairman is very good at it, to sort of keep my hand on it, and sort of, gives me a hard time. That's getting better, and it has to get better, because we sort of quadrupled the business in sort of from very first year to year now. When we started, we were doing about £500,000 a year, and now we do about 2. So it's still relatively small, but it's bigger, so it has to be better controlled. So that's one. The second one, what I did as well, there is a software. This is quite. Is it heavy? Yeah, relative terms to the sort of size of the business. The LJK one is really one-man show, really. Well, I've got the accountant part-time, and I've got my chairman who helps me, but really full-time is just me. So I look at a couple of other expenses that I had, and we're not really. They seem to me they were too high for what they should have been. And the first one of those 2 expenses was Wine Searcher. Wine Searcher is a marketplace for fine wines, where you can go and you can find the wines. And this is where you can go and buy them. But obviously, shops like mine is based online, and you can sort of list them on Wine Searcher. So helps you to be searchable, helps clients to find you via Wine Searcher. Of course, Wine Searcher charges for it, and how they do it, how they go about it, is quite opaque. Because they charge by the number of listings you got. So the person who's got 250 wines listed is going to be different fee than the company which is going to have 10,000. So 2 different things. Now we're relatively small, we've got about 500. So they were charging me £150 a month. And I felt this is a bit rich, because then when you multiply this by 12, it comes up to £1,800. And I thought, it's a lot of money. And I had some business coming from them, but I felt not so sure. I haven't felt this is I'm getting enough of that business to sort of justify it. I just wanted to see whether I can improve it. So number one, what I did is I spoke to a few wine traders, few friends in business who run similar type of businesses than mine. Just check with them, what do they pay, what do they get, and so on and so forth. And I quickly find out they're paying about half what I'm paying. So I was very clearly, okay, well, I'm getting charged much more than I should be charged. So I have emailed them, have a conversation. They sent me some graphs where they, look, but you've got 300 visitors a month. Okay, great, but these graphs, I'm not, maybe I do, but then I'm not feeling that. I'm not really feeling that. It's not reflected in sales I'm getting, and so on and so forth. So, chat to them if they can reduce it, and they have done, actually. And what I have managed to do, which I was very, very nicely surprised with them, I managed to reduce it down from £1,800 a month, a year, paid monthly, at sort of between 145 and 152, because it's different, it's US dollars. So it depends on the currency. I managed to reduce it down to £79 a month. And that, just to be clear, and that was largely as well reduced down because I have paid them annually. And when you pay them annually, which again, this is something that I'm happy with, I'm happy to have it. It's important for me to be listed. However, that's additional 20% discount. So that's another trick you can use if you have subscriptions, and this sort of the whether it's a subscription for your personal or whether it's a subscription for the business. If you can get 20% discount on if you pay annually, well, that's significant, especially with those more expensive subscriptions that are sort of running into hundreds. that's gonna be significant amount of money. So that's that. It's the second element. And the third one, actually, the third one is the biggest one, and the biggest one that I'm currently looking into it is the software for the company. I was happy using it. The software might not tell you much. It's called WineHub. So it's a very specialist software that helps to connect all the elements of fine wine shop, meaning website and all the stock that is there. It helps to connect the invoicing, stock control, so on and so forth. It's very good. It's expensive. With website, for all that build, I paid £16,000, which is a ridiculous amount of money when I reflect back on it, because I thought I would need it. However, as I learn very quickly, not quickly, I mean, it took me probably 18 months to sort of look at it. Well, okay, on top of that £16,000 I paid them, there is as well ongoing fee of £1,700. And when I actually add it all up and I reflect on it, what I'm getting out of it, this helps if you run the business that is the business of the size of 40-50 million pounds a year. Then you're gonna have 10 sales guys, you're gonna have logistics, you're gonna have accounts, so on and so forth. And having all these departments connected by one software is valuable. It's worthwhile, it's important, because everyone see what's going on. When you one person, two people team, it just doesn't, because it's just not going to justify itself. And then you look at it as well. What I learn with those observations, which I share this with you, and I think is important. When you've got these costs, whether the personal one, 50, 60, 70 pounds, or whether the company, big ones like £1,000, £200, etc., I think looking at them from perspective of 1 month is a wrong. It's not from 1 month. It is somewhat limited. I think when you're actually going to look at it from perspective of year 2, 3, 4, then you start to realize, if you're not going to do anything about it, how much that's going to cost you. And with that software, that's £21,000 a year. In 10 years, that's over 200 grand worth of expenses, and that's that money is gone. Well, they're not, maybe they're gone is the wrong thing to say. Well, they're gone out of your pocket is an expense. So if you can reduce it, that's gonna be significant. Yeah, so this is the sort of learnings. The other things as well, what I look at, is as well, I mean, that's going back to personal. Looking at the subscriptions, for instance, like a Vanity subscription. Let me explain what I refer to. Blue tick for Instagram, right? They used to have a way how they were picking this. At some point, what they have done is they charge for it, $11.99. And I was looking at it. Well, I've got 27.1, 27,000 followers on Instagram. I never bought anything. I just all organic. I never seen any difference whether I got that tick or not. So I said, you know what? You've got a lot of my content there because I post a lot and so on. Great. So I decided to cancel it. Yeah. So those are as well this sort of fees, these vanity charges, and if you can avoid it, I would suggest cut them out. They ain't gonna get you anything. And the fact is that I've got the blue tick or I think it's absolutely irrelevant. So yeah, so that's that. I think that concludes. I hope you got some value out of it. And if you do, give us like and a follow, and I'm going to see you on the next one. And next one, I'm actually writing this. The next one, it's gonna be in similar vein. It will speak about investing. I started doing the research, so I want to have few sort of facts and numbers for you to put in front of you. So that's that. I mean, it's a lovely afternoon today. I enjoyed a lot. All the best. I will speak to you soon.